Is your Toro mower spluttering, hard to start, or just not running like it used to? Before you spend money on a mechanic, let me show you a simple fix that could save your engine and your wallet. Today, we're going to clean the carburetor on a Briggs and Stratton engine, and trust me, it's a lot easier than what you think. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. In our last video we diagnosed this mower as having some issues with fuel. Since then I've run the mower quite a few times. When it gets into long grass, the motor actually tends to bog down and die. This could be a few things. I believe it may be related to the fuel. There could be some contaminated fuel in here. In our last video we replaced the air filter and the reed breather. The carburetor could be retaining a little bit of dirty fuel, as I don't know the history of this mower. So today we'll remove that carburetor, give it a bit of a clean out and see if that improves the overall running of the motor. Feeling that there may be an issue with the push rods, that's something that we will take a closer look at. Need be, we can remove the front of this and check the tappets and the settings in there just to make sure that everything is running smoothly, and if not, we can adjust it as necessary. It's not necessary to remove the top of the motor, but just for clarity and to show what I'm actually doing here, I've taken it off. I just noticed this spark plug lead was getting fouled up with the cabling. Just something to keep in mind when you're putting everything back together. Just allow that fuel to drain and we can check the quality of it. The different size screws into the air filter. Make sure you don't lose screws. I find a magnetic tray is the best thing to use. You can just drop your bolts in there without any fear of losing them. That gives you access to the actual carburetor. You can simply remove it. So right now we're going to pull this apart and take a look at it. And just check the jets and everything are clean. And if not, we can give them a bit of a clean out or a blowout with using the compressor. There's a little bit of sludge, nothing major. Very gently try and prise this out. Quite surprised actually, because the carburetor looks very clean. I also checked the fuel, and the fuel all looks pretty good as well. So the only other thing to do is to remove this and actually clean these little jets out, give them a thorough blasting. I find the easiest way to get this out is by using a pair of pliers. You could use a screwdriver, but there's a possibility, because it's a plastic carburetor, you run the risk of damaging the fragile sides. Any elongation here is going to cause really bad damage, so simply put it down, prise it out and pull cleanly. It'll come right out. Carb cleaner has a tendency to perish rubber gaskets, so I find it best to simply remove them and put them to one side. Smaller gaskets can be a bit tricky to remove, but just take your time and you'll get them out eventually. Again, this can be a little bit fiddly, but the aim here is to expose these little jets. Ideally, you want to be able to see daylight through the jets, and that just gives you an indication that you've actually cleaned them out. This can get quite messy, so I've used a container just to contain all of the fluids. The aim here is to blow carb cleaner into every nozzle. The goal being to try and get into any nook or cranny that could possibly hold dirt or be contaminated. This will all get blown out later using the air compressor. Some people use a wire brush for this, or the bristles of a wire brush. I prefer to use the air compressor as I find it's a much cleaner and safer way to clean out all of the components. Push the components back together as tightly as you possibly can before placing it back into the carburetor. There's really only one way this can go back in again. So you line it up and push it through. So when refitting your bowl, the needle just slips through. You can actually set the bowl back down into position. Just be careful that the needle actually goes into its proper spot. You can see the hole. Just line it up. And snap it into position. It would appear that there's a little insert in the top of the bowl. So when you set it down, it actually seats in over the top of this. There's an inner black grommet and an outer white grommet which fits into the back of the carburetor. This end gets pushed back into the outlet of the engine. You can now reattach the choke and the accelerator. This is simply a matter of twisting the carburetor and getting the wires or the cables to fit in correctly. Make sure to reseat the carburetor back as tight as you possibly can to the engine. Just make sure you get a good connection in here. You don't want to end up with any leaks, if at all possible. Just to get your screws started. Avoid any cross threading where possible. This is a 5/16 socket. The other two screws are 7mm. Clip on the fuel tank and then refit the air cleaner. Next, reconnect the fuel line. The tank has been thoroughly flushed and the carburetor has been cleaned. The engine is now starting easily and smoothly. However, there's still issues with this engine. It's running very rough for my liking. So please join me in my next video where we're going to be adjusting the valve lash on this Briggs and Stratton engine. And trust me, that's a lot easier than you think. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe and join me in my next video.